What's poppin', y'all? You're now watching, listening to Sporting Convos with Eddie and Mike. It's me, Mike, and I'm here with my guy.
Eddie P, aka Commander P. Very excited to be here.
Very excited. Very excited. I'm gonna just go through a quick rundown, man. The NFL, they are finally looking to use some electronic technology for the first downs. We're going to talk about that. Definitely going to talk about the Commanders a little bit. And the Cleveland Browns, they're going to have a special segment this episode. We got some media beef, hilarious story coming out of the combine in Indianapolis. We might even talk a little bit about the combine itself. Eddie had an interesting topic. I ain't even going to spoil it for y'all. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show. Wrap it up with some quick hits, man. And yeah, that's it, man. It sounds like a lot, but we're going to breeze through it real quick, bro. Starting with the NFL, they are looking to use electronic laser technology for first down markers starting next season. I'm not sure if it's official or not, bro. Do you have any other information on it before we get to talking on the good, the bad, and ugly about it?
So it says that all articles when you Google it, and I actually did hear this on 106.7 The Fan, but it's basically saying they're switching to this system called the Hawkeye system, and it's just they use cameras inside the stadium that track the players and officials and the ball, and basically they'll notify the officials if it's a first down or not. Uh, I think this is right along with that balls and strikes kind of thing going on with Major League Baseball, and I hate to attach them to this because they already had the overtime rule kind of switched, when talking about the Buffalo Bills, but it kind of really is because it looked like Josh Allen got that first down, but somehow.
Screw them. What about us versus the Steelers with Zach Ertz?
Yeah, no,
We
I
could have
agree.
went 13-4 this season, bro.
Yep, we could have. We could have. That
Just
is
saying.
touche. But nationally, that's the poster for this whole thing is Josh
I
Allen.
get it. Um,
Well, yeah. Hey, Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Anyway, I'm all for it. I don't think this is something I liken it to. Let me try to be brief here. In soccer or football, depending on where you're from, in the European leagues, tournaments, etc., they have what's called VAR, video assistance replay, and if there's a foul, they have essentially like a booth of people reviewing it, and the game will continue. And, especially if it happens to be like inside the penalty box earning a penalty kick. But anyway, the play will continue, and then the ref will get buzzed and he'll stop. Sometimes it all happens at once, the penalty, then the review and whatever. But then there's other times where play continues. Maybe also you could link it to like whether or not in an NBA, if they change a 3 to a 2, when they go back and say, hey, foot was on the line. I would liken it to that. So I'm all for this because it doesn't slow down the action. And let's be honest, I don't know how many people feel this way, but I feel like a lot do. I love the NFL, but there's already enough breaks. There's already enough like you know breaks, for lack of a better. I don't know. I was trying to think of another word to say it. There's already enough gaps between plays and excitement, in my opinion, between commercials and whatever else. So I'm all for it. It should hopefully help, in terms of the fairness uh, aspect of the
you
game.
know, some are wondering if it'll lead to robot referees.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that would work or what that would look like. I think that's a very
No.
like that's a very vivid, imaginative thing. But it's also it's not far fetched. But I think the people kind of doing that are maybe into the Terminator and Matrix and
Yeah.
that AI movie with Will Smith. I think there's a lot of that going on too. But hey, maybe.
Our robot.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, not AI. There is a movie called AI, but that's not it. I think that's with Haley Joel
It's
Osment.
Iroh with
Yeah.
the
Yep.
looking robot.
You're correct.
Um, I don't know, like some others are questioning, will it like kill the drama of the chain measuring first downs and stuff like that? I don't think it'll change it. Might enhance it a little bit because I'm familiar with VAR, and it has its own graphic, and it seems like it's universal. Like everybody uses the same software, so it's the same on every channel, every game. Maybe it was just for that league or whatever, but nevertheless, I'm intrigued. It'll help speed the game up, and like I said, it'll keep things fair. Like if I get a first down, I want my first down. I don't want to like question. I don't want to take 30, 40 seconds questioning if I got the first down. By moving the chain, then you gotta move the chain again, then you gotta set it, and nah, ain't nobody have time for that. So we both seem to be in favor of that. And will it lead to? I mean, let me say this: Will it? Will there be a play where Deebo Samuel is short a first down for the Washington Commanders? According to reports, it could be a possibility. It looks like two of the teams that are interested in the services of Deebo Samuels from the 49ers are the Washington Commanders and the Houston Texans. The Texans are losing Diggs, I believe, in free agency, so they do need another receiver to replace him. You pair him up with Nico Collins and Tank Dill, I think that's a nice trio. That's for Washington. I mean, yeah, it's a piece, but I'm. I was talking to Ali or Eric earlier. Um, I I can spin it like Samuel will be playing with the best quarterback that he had. He has McLaurin on the other side. No disrespect to Ayuk. Just feel like McLaurin is a better receiver and will command more attention than Ayuk does. And Peters, he's the key to all this. Like, if he approves the trade, that means he really feels like Deebo can help get this team over the hump, and I'd be all for it. The My only issue is that I'm looking at these receivers in this draft, and I'm like, they could come in and probably do some of the things that Deebo Samuel's doing. One of them that we'll see later today, I believe he's competing at the combine. It's TCU wide receiver Xavier Williams, or Xavier Williams, even though it's an S. Um, I feel like he could be a Deebo Samuel. You can get him in the second round for a fraction of the price on the contract.
Yeah, that's the
So,
kicker.
as much as I would like Deebo Samuel as a player, when you think about the logistics of it all, the money, trading assets to acquire him, I'm just not with it, bro.
Yeah, I agree. There's certainly that big play thing that always leaves you kind of wanting to test the waters, but I'm not trying to do it. I can't really remember too many times that, I guess Ertz would be a little bit of an exception, but when we've gotten free agents that have come in at that position and contributed on that level, and for what he would command, as far as a trade or sign, he's not a free agent, right? This would be a trading thing, right? We would have to trade for him. Yeah. So for what we would have to give up, and then I don't know what his contract situation is, or if that's another thing. He might
It
then come
ain't
to
cheap.
us. Yeah. Well, but what if he comes to us and says, you know what, I want you guys to pay me too? Or I have no idea. I look at that. His numbers weren't great last year. I do think on one end we have too many guys just that are like the same as Terry, but they're like a few levels below Terry, if that makes sense. Like they're in the same mold as him, most of our other receivers. Um, so it would be nice to have a guy like that who has some versatility and again has the big play capabilities. but I'm not trying to do it. I know it took forever to arrive at that point, but I'm not trying to do it. No dice. I'm with you.
Yeah,
Draft a guy. It's way cheaper. They potentially could give you the same statistical output with upside. So sign me up for that every time. I don't want any part of Deebo Samuel.
and that's what I'm saying. Like
I gotta take the beanie off, man.
it it just
It's hot in
it's
here.
just it's not a good use of assets. It's not a good use of assets. Like I said, plenty of other players, I believe, um, that can produce, and it's not like this team really needs like super wide receiver play. Just prove that they can do it without it. But I'm thinking like instead of trading for Jay Daniels, and I'm gonna keep banging this drum until I can't bang it anymore. Um, sign Slayton, bro. Sign Darius Slayton. He's he's what everybody thinks Diami Brown is, and probably better. He can take the top off of defense. He's proven, especially against us, that he can catch the ball when needed. Giants fans like him. A lot of his production issues aren't on him; it's on his quarterback play. We're talking about at one point this dude had I was about to say Tommy DeVito at quarterback.
Tommy
So
Cutlets.
yeah, like man, it's like I'm not saying like I said, I'm not saying that he's not worthy of being here or whatever, but at the same time, giving up assets, paying that money, I don't know. So bigger Commanders news potentially. Um, a WUSA 9 investigation reveals that despite Mayor Muriel Bowser's vision for a new NFL stadium as the anchor of redevelopment plans, the available space and proposed parking availability would likely not accommodate the tailgating culture that many fans consider essential to their game day experience. Um, duh. I've been saying that for years. If you put a stadium down at RFK, it's just not enough space for parking lots or parking. Like it's simply not. That's the whole point of putting it next to down RFK Stadium so you can get more foot traffic from the train and less driving. And it's not like FedEx Field where it's a whole plot of land or plots of land that hosts the stadium plus
You know
parking
how
that
much
literally
space they have?
surrounds the stadium. Huh?
Do you know how much space? Like if you do I don't know what the term would be, like square footage or circumference or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's like 140 acres of parking space. like
And that's just parking
that
alone.
is a lot of parking
And think
space.
about how much of a nightmare it is getting out that stadium, even with
Yeah.
the enhancements that they've done over the last 2 seasons. It's
Oh,
still like not easy. So imagine trying to squeeze. I don't know how often you've been in that area, but the traffic on normal days suck. So I can't imagine what you're going to do when you got 60,000 people or 40,000 on the train, 15,000 on the, 40,000 in cars, 15,000 on the train, another 5,000 on feet or Uber or whatever. Um, I
well,
understand the nostalgia. I get it, y'all. Like, nobody loved RFK more than me when I was younger, and they weren't even winning there like that. And even after they dipped in '96, um, I still lived in DC. I still drove past the stadium. I still drive past the stadium. I was just around there a couple of weeks ago, heading home. I don't remember where I was heading from, but nevertheless, it's I understand nostalgia, but like let's just keep it a buck. And I know people, especially y'all Virginians, um, don't like driving out Maryland, but that might be the best place because that has the most space. Like even if you don't want it at FedEx Field, the next best spot might be Oxon Hill Farm, which is across the street from MGM Grand, and I think they have like over 150 acres of land,
Hmm.
so they'll be able to handle everything, and it's right next to the Beltway. Or they'll probably just do what the smart thing is and just build a new stadium in FedEx Field parking lot and build the parking lot where the field used to be. It's been there since '97. The stadium itself wasn't the problem. The problem was the owner. He didn't develop around the stadium. The problem was the city. They didn't even try to help him develop around the stadium. And if they did, he wasn't smart enough to pull it off anyway.
Yeah,
Got
did you
new
actually see
ownership.
there were like that report card thing came out, and all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
like we were number like 11 or higher,
12, yeah, 11. Yeah.
and it was all of these things where like we were terrible, and it really just seems like because we got a new owner, all of those things got
You
better.
know
And
what's
I don't
funny?
say that like it's just saying it got better, which makes it
Mm-hmm.
it's better. I'm sure things were done or have been put in place that are progressively making things better. I don't doubt that. But at the same time, it does seem like just what you said, like it was just the owner. Like it wasn't, and I mean, that's a how do it that's a loaded statement, I guess you could say, when you say it's just the owner.
You know what's funny though, bro? They improved at every grade, but they dropped in dining, like the food experience. They dropped in that. But I like the way that people were putting it. It was multiple people, so I can't credit it to one person. Unless everybody was stealing from the first person that said it. But I doubt it. It's a common conclusion once you think about it. There was a lot of new players on the team last year who came from a lot of other teams around the league,
Oh,
and um, maybe their food experiences compared to what happened in Washington wasn't that good compared to the rest of the league, and that's why the food dropped. But that's the only logical conclusion I heard. And even if it was, who cares? It's food. Like you can get it there, you can get it anywhere. Like pause, I guess. But that was the only grade they dropped at. But back to the stadium, I really just feel like, bro. I know everybody hates Maryland and driving out there. I'm not the biggest fan of it myself, and I live here. I had to sit in traffic on the way home, and it wasn't even 2:30 yet. What was it? It might have been around 2:30 when I left work, but still, it's. I hate driving in Maryland, but
yeah.
all things considered, that might be the best spot for the stadium, rather it's back in Landover or Oxon Hill Farm. Unfortunately,
Well, what's weird is the part that seems to complicate this is now, I mean, certainly everybody's competing with everybody, and you want to build one of these things that's going to start generating revenue right away. You look at, Dallas Cowboys Stadium, the amount of concerts and other events that go on there that generate money. You don't want something like, I think they refer to them as the white elephants or the white something. It's all these stadiums they built in Greece for the Olympics way back when, and they're just sitting there now. They don't get used. They spend all of this money creating these gigantic stadiums and
I think the
arenas.
same thing happened in Brazil with the World Cup. When was the last times they
Yeah,
had it?
it certainly you could be right. I won't argue with you on that. But yeah, I say all that meaning like you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, but you want to build something that, like you said, that you want that foot traffic, you want that revenue that comes. So what do? You got to put in restaurants, you got to have things that are inclusive. You got to have like little dog parks or whatever. Like the amount of rules I'm sure they have to have, and for things like bike racks or whatever else, because you have to, it. Trying not to like be political here, but it's almost like under some DEI kind of stuff where like you have to include, and rightfully so. I don't say it like with some sort of negative tone, but you got to have like ramps and other sorts of accessible things for handicapped people. There's just so many things that go into this. Like I, I think that's a big part of what would, like where we came to here, what we've come to the topic that hinders the parking, because you got to take care of all those other things that I said that limits the parking. And the fans have spoken, like the different polls where it's, I think, somewhere in like the 60 to 80 or more percent that are like, yeah, tailgating would, no tailgating would definitely be like a negative, as far as, you know, whether or not they went, like affecting them going to the game. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's just too much to try to put in DC, and that's just one obstacle. Like
yeah.
it's so much, so many more layers, bro. So many
And
more.
this is just to like get approval and get plans and get land. Like, I mean, you and I will probably be like certainly elderly by the time they're actually playing games in this stadium. You
No,
know,
we won't. The stadium, they don't have a choice. The stadium will be built by 2030, bro. It'll be built in the next 5 years. I'll bet. I will bet my. Well, I'm
declarations.
not gonna bet nothing on it, but I'm. It might even be here sooner than that. It could be here as early as
Oh,
2028 for
goodness.
real. Um, because
Declaration.
once they find a location, it's full speed ahead from there.
Okay.
I feel like the stadium might even be planned already, or at least planned, or in the process of being planned. And they probably have like different locations in mind that they already want to target. Because that's what you do when you have money and you can plan ahead like that. You can start planning multiple ideas, and probably should plan multiple ideas, so you won't get caught with your pants down.
Yep.
Um, speaking of pants down,
Oh boy,
um,
where are we going?
the Browns, bro. Are
Uh,
they mid or are they just underachieving?
I, bro, it's yeah, like the
Like, why
Orioles.
did you even want to talk about them? Like, what's happening?
Well, it just I told who did I text this to you? Maybe I told my brother. I genuinely feel like Miles Garrett might be like the Megatron or Barry Sanders on defense. Like I feel like that's what the Browns are almost trying to do. Like they're going to keep trying to. I mean, who knows what they're going to do at quarterback, because Aaron Rodgers. Don't get me wrong, not like that's a good idea, but Aaron Rodgers is linked to the Giants. You got you're tied to Deshaun Watson unless you can get somebody to trade anything and be willing to take on even a little bit of that contract. Probably not going to happen. He's out. I don't know when they expect him back, because he tore his Achilles, I think, or retore it. Whatever the injury is, it's significant.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And they already moved Amari Cooper. Nick Chubb, I believe, is a free agent or set to be a free agent. Yeah, they are, and they're just not in a situation where like keeping someone like that is good for their team. Like they need to start. They need a yard sale. I believe they're going to be potentially shopping Denzel Ward as well. They need to start getting rid of those guys so they can get their draft picks. I, God, I got to look it up because I think I had a picture of the of all the teams' cap. I don't think they're in good standing with cap space, but allow me to check it out real quick. Um, yeah, it's just a bummer. But then maybe on the other hand, it it kind of does at least keep Philly from getting them too, because apparently they were worried that we were going to get him. They were going to lose Josh Sweat, or he was going to try to, which is weird because he went to the Jets, decided to really not play, and then was like, "Oh, okay, I'm back with the Eagles now." And but now here he is again. Like, all right, let me try free agency again. But yeah, I definitely don't want him going to the Eagles. Miles Garrett being him, that is.
Yeah. Like I'm so they are so entitled and like
It's annoying.
just doing the most. Like you just can't expect like you just can't expect them to like just chill out or whatever. But anyway, um
Well, it definitely makes you think that they uh, now, I had this pipe dream of two number ones
mhm.
and John Allen. Ain't no way that's happening. They probably want like four or five, which is just insane. But I their GM at the I guess this was at the combine. I don't know. He basically was saying that that's not in their plans, and it's just a bummer hearing that. It's nice to dream. I would have loved to have actually maybe put a few extra chips into the center in hopes of acquiring Miles Garrett, because the domino effect that he could have on our defense for the better would be tremendous.
Yeah, I really just don't think the Browns are going to trade him. Like you said, they're going to be petty and try to hold on to him forever. I feel like at this point, um, yeah, like it's not the offense, it's not the defense, it ain't even Deshaun Watson, bro. Like once you've been through years and decades of horrible ownership, you can point out when it's holding the team back. And I'll tell you right now, if you're a Browns fan, you should be concerned. If you're a Colts fan, you should be concerned. If you're a Panthers fan, you should be concerned. If you're a Jaguars fan, you should be concerned.
Mm.
Um, and that's about it. Oh, Jets.
Thanks,
Oh,
Lord.
whoa, whoa, Jets. Whoa. You should be concerned.
That's a
You
God.
should be concerned. You
I
said New Orleans.
um,
You said New Orleans.
no, 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 no. I just
Oh,
at first I was
I was
saying Mike with the warnings to all fans of these teams, and then you said
man.
the Jets. Or I mean, yeah, and I was like, oh man, like
Yeah, how could I forget?
yeah, that's a different kind of.
Um, I hate to say it, Cowboys
Yeah, they're on their way too.
should be concerned, especially with the other two teams in the East have been doing, and the Giants look like they're turning the corner right now too.
Or
Should
they're at
be
least aware
concerned.
of what their problems are and trying to do something about it. They
Yeah,
just limited in what they can do.
I
Whereas
hate.
these other teams you mentioned, they're like, no, we don't have any problems, even though the problems are right in front of them,
Oh, Cincinnati.
out in the open. You think so? Okay.
Yeah, they
All right.
cheap, bro. They
Yeah. Yeah.
cheap.
True.
They're the learners, but they actually don't have the money.
Don't get me started on learners.
They're the learners, but they don't have the money. Um, but I digress. Um, media beef.
Oh, this is great.
Media beef. A verbal altercation. Um,
You want me to?
Jordan Schultz verbally accosted Ian Rapoport, report or however you say his name, at a Starbucks in Indianapolis. Like I said, the Mamas in Indianapolis, the media, the players, the agents, the coaches, the owners, everybody down there right now. Per multiple sources who witnessed the event, according to Pro Football Talk, interaction um, the interaction between Jordan Schultz of Fox and Ian Rapoport or of NFL media engaged in a verbal altercation on Wednesday afternoon at the Starbucks at the JW Marriott in Indianapolis. Schultz, we're told, accosted Reber. I mean, why I keep messing up Ian Rapoport name up? The incident first came widespread light when a PFT commenter, aka Eric Solenberger, DMV in the house, what up? Posted a tweet on Wednesday night that referred to a serious big time media confrontation between two NFL newsbreakers. And his tweet said, um, Nothing. He just talked about the tweet. But apparently they were in a beef about a report that Schultz reported on that Ian refuted or something to the fact of that. But nevertheless, honestly, the details kind of don't matter. The main event is that once again, journalists made the story about themselves, and it's just funny to me, bro. Like I really don't have no say on it. They too grown, man. Ian Rapoport is from New England, and he's young too. So I don't know who this Jordan Schultz dude is. They say he worked for
Oh
Fox or
boy.
whatever.
Wait till I tell
But
you.
oh no, I do know who he is. He used to play basketball or something, and then he's like transitioned to the media or whatever. But go ahead, bro.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to like add context where is needed as quickly as possible without a lot of, um, yeah. So we didn't talk much about this, but we also didn't talk much about any teams as far as like what they're doing. The Deebo part, but I don't know if you guys are aware. Matthew Stafford, in a roundabout way, seemed to finesse the Raiders, or well, I guess he really finessed the Rams by using the Raiders. So that's where some of this starts between Rapoport and Schultz. Schultz, by the way, is the son of Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz is the creator of Starbucks. I just want to throw that out there. Um,
For real?
yeah,
The fact that it happened in Starbucks is hilarious.
well, and there's more context that'll go with this. So again, I'm trying to just like hit on all these points that will sort of hopefully bring the whole story together to a degree. So what essentially happened is, and we actually Eddie and Mike all over this. Tom Brady has been removed from all Friday meetings of media of the games that he will do for, I believe it's Fox, because there's a conflict of interest. He is not the GM for the Raiders, but he is like, I don't know, a liaison. He is acting on the behalf of the Raiders. He is meeting with people. He is trying to get them to play for the Raiders. And nobody seems to have a problem with this. They just did the Friday thing. Now, anyway, he happened to meet up with Matthew Stafford. They both happened to be in Montana at some ski resort or whatever. And that's where sort of the problems come in here.
Yeah, I remember now. Definitely was
Schultz
a
is
problem.
reporting that this was a meetup. This was I don't know, that back in the day when Jared Allen and some of the Vikings guys got on a plane and went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi to talk Brett Favre into coming back to camp and playing one more year. It's that kind of angle is what was being reported here. And Rapoport was like, no, this was just a coincidence. First of all, I don't know how much truth I put into that. I understand the Bill Belichick way where, maybe Brady or Stafford said that or someone from their camp or whatever else. And Rappaport kind of being really like it's Scheffner and then it's Rappaport when it comes to like the breaking news type. Not that other people don't do it, but it's typically, you know what I mean? It's one of those two guys. And so that's where this other part comes in. Stafford ended up getting that big contract from the Rams, but the whole report of this and whether it was true or not, that's that whole thing, right? What I just mentioned. Scheffner is probably the number one guy, trades, free agency, whatever other news, he's it. And then it's Rappaport. And so there's sort of this pecking order. Well, here's this Jordan Schultz guy who's working for Fox. And based on what I had heard, and I'll go kind of going off of the word of Grant Paulson, basically, who's in the media as well. And he says, kind of how it is you want to be the first to post something. You want to be the first to break the news. It's not cutthroat, but we'll use that term. And so when you have someone like Rapoport, like, nah, this isn't a big deal, and he's kind of maybe higher up in terms of trustworthy news, he diminishes your story and you're an up and comer, that becomes a thing. Now, I brought up him being the son of Howard Schultz. I don't know this, but maybe there's a possibility that maybe other media types who might not have had the upbringing or the possibility of becoming the heir to $1 billion fortune you know, maybe there's a little bit of spite there, and they don't really view him as one of them. He's spoiled. And this is just a hobby or something. So I don't know if any of those play a part in it, but yeah, apparently he he walked right up on Rapoport and got in his face, and was like saying, "Yeah, we got a problem," and telling him not. Yeah, that's it's definitely comical. You know.
Ridiculous. And of course, I'm biased only because I've been following him for a minute or whatever. I'm a side with Rapoport. It just seemed like he's genuine with his stories. Like, I don't remember him being wrong too much. And if he said it was a coincidence, I'm going to believe it's a coincidence.
Well, see, I don't
Um,
know about that part, but especially and even if it was like they're not going to talk football. Are you kidding me?
oh, yeah. But I don't think that's why the Rams kept Stafford. Let's say that. Like, I don't think that drove the price up or anything. Like, they kept him because it was probably like, ain't nothing really out there better. We need somebody to quarterback the team, and
Well, the way it
he
happened
gets
was
injured.
wild because it was reported like, "Hey, here's this big deal from the Raiders," and then all of a sudden on the Rams social media, it's like Stafford's
But
back.
it was more than just the Raiders bidding for him, though. I
Oh
didn't even know the Raiders were even close because every time I saw reports, they were like it was the Giants.
yep, I did see that the Giants were definitely trying to get him. I do remember hearing and seeing uh, things saying just that. But yeah,
Um,
that's about all I got because I just thought it was interesting. It was one reporter throwing shade at another. It just kind of reminds me of some of those stories of like Saturday Night Live or ESPN back in the day with Brent Musburger and Jimmy the Greek getting in a fight, between commercial breaks, like that kind of stuff. Almost like what you see on Anchorman, like which is a spoof, but then like this is comical, like what goes on behind the curtain.
yeah. Um, Last topic of the night,
Ooh,
and
if you
it's an
still
interesting question. Um, you presented, bro. You the one that were talking about it earlier, so you can let us know what's the happy hops.
all right. So for those of you who know me,
And I'm scared to pronounce the name too. So
I got you. I will say it with confidence, and yeah, don't you worry about that. So, anyway, for those of you who are familiar with my work and myself, I am big into comics, and I don't like using the term sci-fi, even though there's a lot of like space and science fiction involved with comics, because there's equally a lot of stuff I like that is certainly fiction, but it's more like medieval. I don't know. I guess you could still call it sci-fi since there's dragons and stuff like that. Anywho, Mjölnir, which is Thor's hammer, can only be possessed by those who are worthy. I ended up seeing a post where someone presented the question of name me some characters who would be worthy of wielding Mjolnir. Mjolnir. See, I messed it up. Yoda was one. There was a few that were quite interesting. So I thought we could tie it to sports in general. We could just do NFL. I happen to have
nah, we don't have to. We could do any sport.
okay. So we'll do two each if that's okay. If you want to just do one, that's fine. I have what I would say are definitely one is NFL, but two in general that would be worthy of wielding Mjolnir. Um, so that's that. I asked the question. I'll let you go first. I'm really hoping you don't steal either of my two, but definitely not the one. But yeah,
Uh, I've been trying to think of who's worthy. I can't really. Are we sticking? So you say any sport?
any sport,
Uh
make it easy. That opens up the field quite a lot, I would say.
any sport. Um, Dak, bro. Really can't think of nobody.
I came to the one I thought about right away when I read this, and I hope it doesn't come across as like me trying to say anything political. Um, but it both in a way both of mine kind of will, but that's not my intention.
I thought you was gonna say him.
Okay, I'll go ahead. All right, so number one, just thinking in terms of worthiness, and also again tying it to the comics. You think of that scene in Endgame where all of a sudden Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, is able to wield Mjölnir. I'm going to go with Pat Tillman. The man gave up his NFL career to fight in the military, and I don't even want to get started on the whole conspiracy and he was killed by friendly fire and whether or not it was intentional and all that stuff. I don't even want to go down that road. The point is the man felt some type of way. He saw something that he could theoretically actually do, and he did it. He didn't talk a lot. I don't even know that there was any sort of like, I mean, certainly Twitter I don't think was a thing, or if it was, it wasn't what it is now. He's not one of those guys, or wasn't, excuse me, one of those guys. He just kind of did this, was my understanding. Him and his brother, they joined the Marines or the Army. I'm not sure which, to be honest. But the point is, the man gave up millions of dollars in the NFL to become a soldier because 9/11 happened, and he basically said, like, I'm somebody who can do something, and he did something. The other one, I just think more on a level of, I mean, you could say patriotism, but the idea that Jesse Owens represented America when he probably wasn't treated great here, and then went to Germany running against Germans where Hitler was present. This is during, like a time where Hitler's reign was yeah, I don't know how else to put that. Like he was at peak reign around the time this was happening. I don't feel like those are the correct words to say that. I don't know how else to say. He was in his reigness. He would like his leadership, whatever. He was alive and was there. Um, and
I mean,
to
just say that was at the peak of his powers.
Sure. Perfect. Thank you. I just get in my head about that kind of stuff. Anyway, my man Jesse Owens not only represented a country that probably didn't think much of him, he went to another place where it wasn't much thought of him either. And in the face of adversity, he represented his country. He won a number of medals. And, again, certainly Twitter and social media didn't exist then, but there's no reports of him being anything than an amazing athlete and a humble human being. I've talked about him on other episodes. Yeah. So those are my two. They're wielding Mjolnir, making Thor a little jealous, but he's got Stormbreaker, so it's okay.
So honestly, I really can't think of nobody in the NFL that's worthy. Um, nah, I personally can't. The first person that came to my mind actually was Simone Biles.
Okay.
Like, I
I can
think
do that.
I can't remember anything negative about her off the net, and yeah, just American and all that stuff. I think she's worthy. Um, this one might be a stretch, but the other one that I went with coincidentally was another Olympian. I'm gonna go Michael Phelps.
Okay.
And I think the only negative thing I could think of that he did was he got caught smoking some weed one day or something. But I'm like, if you gotta be sober to hold Mjölnir, um,
Nah. No,
I'm
Thor,
just trying.
Thor had these ancient elixirs that he got from other realms and stuff. And by elixirs, I just mean your man had he had the good liquor, is what I'm basically getting at. He had some cosmic ish. Yeah, okay. The Biles one I could see a little bit more. Not that any sort of level of dominance and greatness, in that sort of area, as far as like athletic competition and whatever, like not that wouldn't hold suit, but the worthiness, I could see it. Um, because for her, it was getting over some of her own mental hurdles. Like I don't want to say she was scared, but some of the moves she was doing were like, very tough, and you had to concentrate. And she's the only one that could do them. Nobody else could do them. That's how crazy they were. So to kind of prep yourself to do that, knowing there's pressure on you as well, and then to come through. So overcoming that type of adversity, yeah, I could kind of see that one for sure. Not to take away from Phelps, DMV guy too, actually. He's from Maryland, but okay, cool. I just saw it and I thought I loved it. I wish I could come up with more of the characters. Oh, Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings. That was the one seed to wield Mjölnir. He's the one that carried, like, he went with Frodo the whole walk towards Mordor, while all the other hobbits, while the two others, and I can't remember their names off the top of my head, while they kind of were a decoy to, get the ring race and some of the other people that were after him to stop following them.
Is it Bilbo or something?
No, Bilbo's the reason that there's a story to begin with. He's the one that gets the ring from Gollum, um, and then that's where this whole thing starts, because he gives it to Frodo, and then Frodo goes on the journey to get rid of it because the Shire is being attacked because these things are looking for the ring. So yeah, that could be another question. Who do you not want to get the ring of power? But that's a whole other story. Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
It is.
Final thoughts, bro, before we sign off.
I want to give a shout out. You probably saw this post, and those of you who are old enough or at least follow NFL and funny memes and moments, I need you to go back to a time when I don't know if it was a playoff game, but it was a big time game. The Cowboys lost, and T.O. was crying about Tony Romo catching some slack, and he said, "That's my
It
quarterback."
wasn't a playoff game.
He said, "That's my quarterback." I need you to live in that moment for just a second, okay? An elderly woman was getting on a flight. I cannot remember where they were going, and one of the classiest gentlemen this side of the Mississippi gave his first class seat to that woman. We would find out, not because he said anything or took a picture or had his publicist say anything, but because people recognized who Jaden Daniels was, and they said that that's on brand. So let's cut right back to T.O. and just think about what I told you, and then remember, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
Dumb. Straight up dumb.
I'm
trying to see if I can find a date, but I can't. Oh yeah, I can. Oh, it was a playoff game, bro. They went 13 and 3 that year and lost in the playoff game. That was 08. Okay, so I know exactly what game this was. This was the playoff game versus the Giants. Nah, not the Seahawk game.
Okay.
This was the following year. No, this was 2 years after, I think.
This is when
they lost.
They
lost
won the Super Bowl.
Huh?
Was that one of the years the Giants won the Super Bowl?
Yeah. They lost. Romo threw an interception in the fourth, like late in the fourth quarter, in the red zone too, and it cost the Giants a game. But nice pull, and I did hear about that story. Shout out to Jaden Daniels, of course. That is our quarterback. I posted a graphic earlier today, and for somebody that wants some good football Commanders talk. They showed the top 10 EPA offenses in the NFL this season, and Washington was number 5 or 4, I believe, for the season. Washington on fourth down was 10th.
Yeah.
And that you're like, what does EPA mean? EPA means dang, what's the word? I forgot what the E stands for. Estimated.
Estimated.
Estimated points added. So I think the offense as a total had like 114 or something like that. I think the number one team had like 144. Basically, that stat means how much impact is your offense adding to your overall season compared to other teams in the league. And they're saying that Washington's fourth down offense, just fourth down offense, so take away everything that happened on first through third down for the entire season, just their fourth down offense was the 10th best offense in the league. Like, incredible. They had a historic year on fourth down. 87%. 87% on over 20 conversions. No team has ever done that before. I mean, not conversions, attempts. And like I said in my Facebook post, and sure I was being petty, but whatever. Nobody had to touch his butt to do it.
Yep.
Like, let's keep it a buck.
It's a scientific fact.
I hate to end the show on the Philly topic, so we might gotta talk about something else after this. But the Packers were actually the team that asked the NFL committee to review the rule about the tush push, and I'll say this: it's two reasons why I'm like they got to change the rule on the tush push. First of all, the rule mattered. I mean, the rule was there, and they took it away. Just reinstate the rule back in place, and all this goes away. Secondly, y'all don't allow the defense to push players from behind. Like, that's a literal rule. And it's not just because Stink said it on the radio a couple of days ago. Like, you really can't push. You can't do that. You can't use external forces to push defensive players on the power for leverage or whatever. You can't do that. You can't try to time the snap because they're going to award them a touchdown. Like, what else do you want to do? And you could tell other teams to try to copy it, but why would they willingly risk a quarterback to get injured when they know that it's honestly a cheese play, and that's why a lot of teams aren't running it. You think the Colts can't do a tush push with Anthony Richardson, with Quentin Nelson leading the way? Get out of here, man.
The Bills kind of do it already anyway. They just don't
Right.
really have the push part going. It's just because Allen's so big.
So I just had to throw that out there. It's going to be a fun off season. I think by the time we come back, free agency should either have started or will be getting started. But we are going on a brief hiatus. So
A little bit.
Yeah. I'll let y'all.
Good morning. Good night. You're welcome.